guys, and welcome back to Anthony's Tennis Hub. My name is Anthony Hirsch. Today we're going to be going over the best women's matches of the year, the top 10 matches that happened on the WTA side. Crazy year full of so many good matches, and we're going to kind of go through that. If you notice, I have a new background. I'm going to keep adding stuff. This is a work in progress, second episode of the Anthony's Tennis Hub podcast. Appreciate you guys joining in. But yeah, without further ado, here's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do 10 matches for women's side. Before I reveal my top 5, I'll go through several honorable mentions. Number 10. So number 10 is a match that I don't think is going to be on a lot of other lists, but I watched parts of this one. I thought it was phenomenal. And the match is Beatriz Haddad-Maia taking on Sorribes Tormo in Roland Garros. This was a 4th round match. Neither player had reached the quarterfinal of a major before. Both players were playing for their first quarterfinal spot. And you may have never even really heard of this match. You're like, why is this on the list, Anthony? And this is the weirdest match that I have on my top 10 list. You could say weirdest. But what it is 3 hours and 51 minutes long. The third longest match ever played at Roland Garros. 1 minute longer than, for example, on the men's side, the Alcaraz-Djokovic Cincinnati contest. 3 extremely long sets. In the last 2 matches before this match, Haddad-Maia had made amazing comebacks as well. She saved a match point in the match before this. As well, she came back from a set down in both of her last 2 matches, both 3-setters. Haddad-Maia, this was part of a fantastic run from Haddad-Maia, where she won 4 3-set matches in a row in Roland Garros, some absolute epics. In the round after this, she would beat Ons Jabeur in a really great match as well, to be honest. In that one, she won a 2nd set tiebreaker from down a set. So Haddad-Maia was down a set and a double break, 3-0, and then she just started playing some amazing tennis to kind of go to 5-3 in the 2nd set. She had 5-3 in match point, and then Sorribes Tormo broke back. This was already after 3 hours and 25 minutes of play. Sorribes Tormo broke back in incredible fashion. Then it was 5-5 in the 3rd set, and then finally Haddad-Maia won 7-5. This was part of a historic run by Haddad-Maia, where she became the first Brazilian woman to reach a major semifinal since 1968. Also becoming the first Brazilian woman into a major quarterfinal since 1968. Haddad-Maia playing a bit more aggressive tennis. Sorribes Tormo was just very kind of consistent, and also just an incredible match. 3 hours and 51 minutes long, and Haddad-Maia gets the win at the end. Number 9, Muchova taking on Swiatek. So this match I think is going to be a lot higher for a lot of other people. For me, it is not quite that high. And part of the reason is that Swiatek was pretty much cruising up until, what was it? I believe she was up a set in 3-0. Yeah, she was up a set in 3-0, and then Muchova started coming back. And down a set in 3-0, fights back. She gets to 4-4 and a break point in the 3rd set, and then Swiatek saves it and, gets the match in incredible fashion. Most of the 3rd set was extremely high level, but listen, Muchova, when she started coming back, Swiatek started hitting a lot more errors, and then it took a few games for Swiatek to get into it in the 3rd set, despite Muchova playing incredible clay court tennis, and putting up an amazing fight. She won the first 8 points of the 2nd set as well. So this match, if the level was higher from both throughout, it would probably have been higher, but still, it's an incredible match between 2 players that aren't the biggest hitters around. This isn't Rybakina. This isn't Sabalenka, who have proven themselves right from the start of the year as being 2 giant hitting players. Big serve, big forehand, winners all over the court. Swiatek can't play more aggressive. We saw that at the end of this year too. But she's not the player that's going to be always be on the front foot, on top of the baseline, trying to dictate. That's just not always how she plays. Sometimes she is a little bit more of a counterpuncher, a little bit more defensive. And listen, this was an incredible match, showing some amazing rallies, athletic rallies. Muchova is a bit more of an all-court player. She likes the slice and dice, kind of the classic style. So fun to watch. So just in terms of an enjoyable match, listen, the drama of that 3rd set, that was one of the peaks of the year, you would have to say. So it was really good towards the end of the match, but and some really good rallies. And it was Swiatek who won her third Roland Garros in 4 years, her fourth major. She had also won a U.S. Open in 2022. And she does an incredible fashion. So a lot of stakes on the match. Really high quality for most of the third set, but not the entire third set from both. And overall, a really fun match. The lack of consistent quality from both to the extent of some of the other matches above it, keep it towards the bottom, but still absolutely deserves to be on the list. Really, really fun match and a great fight from Mukhwa. And at number 8, I have Swiatek versus Bencic at Wimbledon. And let me tell you what, I almost wanted to put this match higher. And I've got a lot of matches from the women's event at Wimbledon because there were so many good matches at that tournament. And I'm not the kind, listen, I'll just tell you what, I'm not the kind of analyst who, if all of the 10 best matches were at Wimbledon, I would put them there. I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm just ranking the 10 best matches. And I want to include clay court tennis because I love clay court tennis. It's one of my favorite surfaces to watch. I love that part of the year. But what I'm saying, if all 10 of the best matches were at Roland Garros, I put all of those matches from Roland Garros. I'm just ranking the 10 best matches, so that's just kind of what I am as an analyst. There's so many good matches at Wimbledon. I had to include this one. Swiatek saves 2 match points in amazing fashion. She clutched up. It's not Bencic who kind of choked a little bit at the end of the match. It was Swiatek who clutched up in the match, which is what you want to see from an epic match. That's what makes an epic, when a player who comes back really steps up to do the comeback and steps up in the big moments, the person who wins. And listen, even though Swiatek didn't progress further in the tournament past the quarterfinals, this could be an incredibly important match in the career of Iga Swiatek on grass courts. I think that this will give her a lot of confidence moving forward. I think Bencic is a player who, she can play a bit more aggressive. She likes the grass courts. She's never able to get that kind of run, and this was her chance, and she kind of blew it. And listen, a big part of this match as well was that they knew what the draw was. You had Alina Svitolina, who's playing amazing tennis on her comeback, just finished an incredible match as well. That will be later on, but Alina Svitolina playing absolutely amazing tennis. But listen, that's a bit of an opportunity. And then little did they know, Marketa Vondrousova in the semifinals as well. So there's opportunities. They knew while the match was going, both players knew there was opportunities. And listen, had Swiatek beaten Svitolina, then even maybe had a chance versus Vondrousova, reached a Wimbledon final, then this match would have been way higher. But that's just kind of what happens. It's a personal favorite for me. It was incredibly high level, like so high level from both players. Dare I say, in terms of the level from both players, one of the most, if not the most underrated match of the year. It was insanely high level from both. Great to see from Iga on the grass court. They both won over 70% of first serve points. They hit over 30 winners, and they save break points over 75% of the time. Just a really good show of level. Not a lot of errors from both either. A great show from Bencic, who just still can't really get that run out of major that she seems to be craving. She's only reached 1 major semifinal, which is kind of an amazing record, especially for an Olympic champion. But personal favorite win, 2 match points saved. It deserves the number 8 spot. Number 7, Iga Swiatek taking on Caroline Garcia in Beijing. Listen, this one was fun. The first 2 sets, some of the highest level tennis of the year. It was really, really just fun points from both. Garcia saved a set point entirely from defensive position in the first set, and then took the first set in a tiebreaker, saving a set point. And then second set, Iga had a double break. She serves for the set. Caroline Garcia saves 2 breaks in incredible fashion, hitting so many winners. Mind-blowing. She's down 5-1. In the second set tiebreaker, she comes blowing back. It's 5-6. And Swiatek finally gets Caroline Garcia off her tail, but not before Garcia saved 4 match points at the end of the match, really making Iga fans scared. And then it was 6-1 for Swiatek in the third set. But one of the more fun matches of the year, and you love to see it. I prioritize if a match is like fun. If a match is like fun to watch, it doesn't necessarily have to be the best level for me. I'm just judging what I think is the best overall match. And for me, that counts how solid both players are playing, what the stakes on the match are, how compelling the match is. And part of what makes it compelling is if it's entertaining and fun to watch. And this one was just fun to watch. Garcia hit 50 winners exactly throughout the match, throughout the 3 sets, 36 errors, which is pretty good. Iga hit 33 winners, 13 errors, very high level. Both serving well over 72%. First serves won for Garcia, 82% for Iga, who has one of the highest percentages on the court. Great high level all around. Very topsy-turvy. As I said, Garcia put up an incredible fight. Swiatek, this was part of a really important tournament for Swiatek. Swiatek said it herself. You could feel it in this tournament. Swiatek got a revenge win over Goff. She got this incredibly tested match against Garcia. It was incredibly tough for Iga to pull through it. And I think the Beijing tournament is one of the most important events of Iga's career, and this match was right at the heart of it. Aggression, taking on defense, Garcia taking on Swiatek, Garcia showing everybody why she won the WTA finals last year in the way she did, beating Sabalenka in the final, who just beat Swiatek in the semifinals, and this is why she's at the top, or at least was at the top, and this is the kind of tennis that she can play. But Swiatek was also trying to prove herself and say, hey, this is my season. I'm player of the year. And then she basically went on a tear at the end of the year, and part of that could be to do with this match. Number 6, we have Sabalenka taking on Madison Keys at the US Open. So this match, listen, I think people are underrating this match. I think that this is a match that, yes, instinctively you might not want to put this high because Sabalenka didn't even win the event after she did all of that. It's like, you did all of that and you still didn't win the tournament? It's like, you did all that. You did all that. Come on. So, what it was, Keys played some of the highest level tennis, for me, period, of the year in the first set. Bagel Sabalenka. Little of it has to do with arena, by the way. Madison Keys was just on something in the first set. Really, she was on something up until she was serving at 5-4 in the second set. It really looked like she was going to run away with the match. It was one game. One really, really poor, quick service game at 5-4, and then the match falls apart. But listen, Keys' level after that game, Keys' level remained extremely high. Like, it was just that one game, which is a con against this match, the fact that it was Keys who choked a little bit in the big moment, but still, Madison Keys, it looked all in the world like she was reaching her second US Open final. What an opportunity. What an opportunity. Remember, Stevens taking on Maddie Keys in the 2017 US Open. That was the last time we had All-American final. It looked like it was going to be Coco taking on Maddie Keys. It looked all in the world like it was going to be that. Coco got her revenge for Keys. But what else makes this compelling? Well, Sabalenka was losing major semifinals. She was losing like a lot of major semifinals. In fact, in the last 2 majors that she played, she should have won both for semifinals. They were both absolute epics. That might appear later on the list. One against Mukova at Roland Garros, where she was serving up match point at 5-2, and then loses it 7-5. And then an epic versus Ons Jabeur at Wimbledon, where she's up 4-1, game point, and Ons Jabeur comes climbing back. Either 4-1 or 4-2, I believe. Could have been 4-3, but she was up a break, serving a set up, and Ons Jabeur comes flying back in that match. So listen, this was a redemption. It was a redemption for Sabalenka, and I don't know, such a hard-hitting contest as well. It ends in a third set tiebreaker, I think 10-4 for Sabalenka, runs away with a tiebreaker after an incredibly tight third set. Keys competed well in the third set as well after Sabalenka came back, and just so aggressive from both players. I mean, what else is there to say? In the third set, Madison Keys, this is how well she competed in the third set. She was up 4-2, and she was up a break in the third set, 4-2. Sabalenka comes back from that. It just looked all in the world like she couldn't come back. And shout out to Keys for an amazing match, but Sabalenka showed everybody why she became world number 1 that week, despite a very disappointing loss to Goff in the final. And Goff had an incredible performance. I've seen people saying Goff Sabalenka US Open Finals one of the matches of the year. I think it was one of the performances of the year. I love the way Goff came back in the second and third set, just came roaring back. So shout out to Goff for that win. It's not in my matches of the year, but Goff had 2 incredible wins over Swiatek in Cincinnati and over Sabalenka US Open that just deserve to be mentioned as ridiculous performances. And great matches as well. Okay, speaking of, let me go over some honorable mentions. So I've seen people do honorable mentions before they start their top 10 list. I'm like, just get into the top 10 list. I've seen people do it right before they get to number 1. I'm like, just tell me what number 1 is. So what I like to do is I like to say the honorable mentions before I reveal my top 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and say some of the honorable mentions. I have a lot for both. It might not be this many every year that I do this, but I have a lot this year. So a few to rattle off here. Hanan Maya taking on Qinwen Zheng in the Zhuhai final. Incredible straight sets match. I mean, these 2 sets were so topsy-turvy, so tight, so close. I just recommend anybody who hasn't seen it to watch it. Vekic Garcia in Monterrey. I thought this was an incredible final, especially the third set. Second set wasn't very close, but the third set was extremely compelling, very close, I don't know. It was one of the best indoor finals. Garcia was basically doing sabers from the service line, and this was while Garcia. People forget Garcia started the year pretty well, at least in this event. So shout out to that match, which very few remember. Rybakina Sabalenka, Indian Wells. It wasn't the Australian Open. It wasn't the Australian Open final, but it was a great revenge win. It was like 12-10 in the tiebreaker. Some amazing shots in that tiebreaker, such as one of the shots of the year for me, a backhand pass from Sabalenka to start off that breaker, and then an amazing forehand angle cross-court winner to save set point as well at 9-10. It was a marathon first set. The second set, breakout love to start off. Yelena broke back. It was all Yelena from then on, but that first set was one of the sets of the year, and that tiebreaker was the tiebreaker of the year for me. Swiatek taking on Pegula in Montreal. Great win for Pegula. She had her chances in the second set, but then she was down 4-2 in the third set, and yet she still came back and got her rightful win because she was the better player for most of that match. Really good win, and also a famous moment of Kan Yai-Jo playing, which is one of the best moments of the year. Just rattle off a few more here. Swiatek versus Goff. Cincinnati, like I said, great win for Goff. She was down 5-6, love 30 in the first set, took in a tiebreaker. Momentous win for her. Loved her reaction. We all want to see her finally take down Iga, and that was just full determination from Coco Gauff. Got her over the line. Rybakina Kasatkina Montreal. This is a topsy-turvy match. I stayed up till like 3 a.m. in the States watching this. It never should have been played till 3 a.m. though. To me, that doesn't really make a match epic. I think it's ridiculous. This match never stopped. It was unreal. This match was unreal. It never stopped. It was some good tennis from both. Both fought well. I do say it wasn't always the prettiest tennis from both, which is partially why it's not in the top 10, but still, this was an unreal match that just kept going, and that is partially why I'm not including it, because the level wasn't always the highest of the highs from both, but at the end, it was crazy how it kept going. And I remember a particular match point save from Kasatkina that I was just like, what is going on at 6-5 in the tiebreaker in the third set. Jabeur versus Rybakina at Wimbledon. This could have been my number 11 choice. And if it, listen, despite so many, like I said, despite so many Wimbledon matches being there, I would have put it if I really did believe that this was in there. It's very close. Rematch of the final. Incredibly high level first couple of sets. Jabeur ran away with it in the third set. It was just compelling to see how well Jabeur played in the second and third sets. In my opinion, the best tennis I've still seen Ons Jabeur ever play was the second and the third set, the way she took it. From Rybakina, she served for the first set, and then Rybakina came back and won the first set, and Jabeur, either way, from a set down, took the win against Rybakina to make her semifinal place against Sabalenka. Really phenomenal match. This deserves a shout-out. Wozniacki Kvitova US Open, straight sets match, straight out of 2014. The last time they played was WTA Finals in 2018. First time they played was in 2009. They play in 2023 US Open. Wozniacki doesn't just play defensive tennis, she plays offensive tennis. In my honest opinion, top 15 level tennis. She was phenomenal. And I hope that Caro comes back because that was great tennis to see. And then I think I have just one more here. I do have just one more for the honorable mentions. Venus Williams taking on Camila Giorgi. This was my 11th, to be honest. I was so close to putting this on the list. It was so close to getting into the top 10 list. It was absolute age divines by Venus. At 43 years old, this one was just so fun to watch. There was some drama involved as well. I think Venus fell and Camila shouted, "Come on." I think pretty much everyone was rooting for Venus at that point. But the first third sets were tiebreakers, extremely close. Extremely close in the third set. Out of nowhere comeback from Camila when Venus was serving for the match at 5-3. And then it was 8-6 in the tiebreaker for Venus. Very close throughout. Really good tennis from both, to be honest. And Venus, absolute age deviance. And this deserves a spot for that reason. All right, and now to reveal the top 5 for the list. So I have Mukova taking on Sabalenka at Roland Garros. This match I thought was very overshadowed by the final, but this match was, this match was crazy. This match was crazy. And I know I said earlier that if a player chokes a bit, that detracts points from a comeback. And Sabalenka absolutely choked a little bit. There's no other way around it. I'm a fan of Sabalenka. I think she's an exquisite player. I love what she's brought to tennis this year. She choked a bit in this match, and it was unfortunate to see. Obviously, some baggage from previous major semifinals where she had chances to make finals, and she obviously just so many wasted chances from Sabalenka. She was at match point serving at 5-2. She had 53 errors to 27 from Mukova, nearly doubling, although Sabalenka obviously plays a very different style, but almost doubling Mukova's errors, converting 4 out of 13 break points. But listen, despite all of that, despite at 40-15 at 5-5 in the third set, hitting 2 consecutive double faults, despite all of that, the first 2 sets were unbelievable. And then guess what followed that? Sabalenka taking the third set in incredible fashion, coming to 5-2, 40-15. She's like, at match point, Sabalenka, the stock in Sabalenka, never higher as a player. At match point, when she steps to the line, never higher. And she's serving. But Mukova, her fight all year has been amazing. It was amazing in the final versus Iga. How she fought against Goff at the US Open semifinals, the way she fought. She saved about 5 or 6 match points. She scared the living daylights out of Goff. Mukova is one, she's not one to mess around with. She will save match point after match point. And it's just amazing the kind of fight that Mukova showed, even though Sabalenka, part of it was to do with what was on her racket. But, they had the first 2 sets. Like I said, I've said it before a lot with the contrast of styles, but aggressive player taking on a very kind of slice and dice Mukova. It was a really cool contrast of styles, some incredible rallies throughout the first 2 sets, including for me one of the points of the year at 4-2 30-all, where after a long busting rally, Sabalenka gets a backhand cross-court winner. Blazing winner, and both players were fighting extremely well. First set, Mukova was serving at 5-4. Sabalenka takes it to a tiebreaker. Sabalenka serving 4-3 second set, and Mukova takes it to a tiebreaker. First 2 sets tiebreaks. And then the third set, not the highest level all around, until the match point for Mukova, and then following Sabalenka's match point for Sabalenka, but still, the match was just unbelievable, and the fight Mukova showed was really phenomenal. Svitolina taking on Azarenka at Wimbledon. Are you kidding me? What else do you want? Svitolina fighting, defending amazingly, even in the first set. Azarenka was up a set and a break 2-0. Svitolina fighting back. Some amazing attacking tennis starting in the second set. She was probably a bit too defensive in the first set. And then she turns a 5-4 scoreline, takes the second set, and just really compelling, great hitting from both. And a lot of passion involved, big chances in the draw for Azarenka as well. Like I said earlier, this is similar to the Swiatek-Bencic match. They knew the draw had really opened up. That really added spice to these matches that were going on at the same time. 2 of the best matches I've seen, women's tennis or men's tennis, to be going on at the same time. Like, Swiatek Bencic and Svitolina Azarenka, I remember I was calling the Swiatek Bencic quality, match for Quality Shot Tennis. I was doing a live stream commentary. And right after it ended, everybody was talking, there's this other amazing match going on, Azarenka Svitolina. I turn it on, they're starting the third set tiebreaker, it goes to like 12-10. I can't even believe it. So many just crazy moments, too, in the match. Like, both players hitting lines, a player hitting the net, like just so many moments that were just so tight. Like, Azarenka just hit the very edge of the line down match point at 8-9 in the tiebreaker to push it to 9-9. And I mean, listen, Azarenka came down from 3-0 down the last set. Also, Azarenka fought back from 7-4 in the final set tiebreaker. And another moment where Azarenka broke in the final set to even it up at 3 apiece, where Svitolina hit a ball that like stayed on the net court for about 5 seconds before it finally fell over. And it was like, and then Azarenka came to it. It was an extremely difficult shot to get to, especially on grass courts where the ball bounces so quickly. But she got under it, hit a drop shot winner that was unreturnable. But just so many, the drama of the match was extraordinary. And it was just really fun, really fun match to watch. This was number 4, one of the most fun and most memorable matches of the year, despite being a 4th round match. Number 3, this is not a 4th round match, revealing my top 3. This match might be some people's number 1. This match, of all the matches this year, this match might be the defining match of the year. At least for an epic match. You could also say Swiatek beating Sabalenka at the WTA finals is a defining match, or something like this. But, in terms of a defining epic for 2023, Rybakina taking on Sabalenka at the Australian Open is my 3rd spot. I mean, this match was crazy. I mean, for a major final, for 2 players to play at a level like this, it was 31 winners for Rybakina. It was an extraordinary 51 winners for Sabalenka and just 20-something errors from both. 71% first serve points won for both. Both players were serving great. I mean, this was just a ridiculous match. I mean, Rybakina took the initial lead to go up in the match before Sabalenka broke back with a passing shot winner from the backhand side down the line, which we would see a lot of. Rybakina broke right back, and then she took the set 6-4. Sabalenka pretty much stormed to the lead in the second set right from the get-go. She got the lead right from the get-go, and it was the second set was, I'm pretty sure, definitely the quickest of the 3 sets. So I mean, listen, the third set though, absolute shootout, huge hitting from both players. You didn't know if Sabalenka was winning her first major or if Rybakina was winning her second major. And remember, Rybakina was the Wimbledon champion going into this match. She was the Wimbledon champion. This was Sabalenka's maiden Grand Slam final. Rybakina's maiden Grand Slam final on hard courts, which I'm sure we'll see her in a hard court Grand Slam final eventually again. That would be my guess anyway. But third set was an utter shootout. Long game at 3-3. I mean, so many deuces. I think it was Sabalenka's 3rd break point. Unrelenting aggression throughout the match, and she is probably the more consistently aggressive player, more consistent. She chooses her spot. She doesn't necessarily go right to the line, but she chooses her spot and she just goes for it. Fearless, unrelenting aggression. Amazing how she was mixing up with the forehands for any side. And Rybakina just defending these huge hard forehands, throws up a lob. Sabalenka goes for a smash. You expect it to be the same kind of power. She just slices it for a winner with a slice overhead from the back of the court. Goes for a 3. Big fist bump for Sabalenka. I mean, the last game is a long deuce game as well. Crazy high level. Huge hitting from both. And it is 6-4. I mean, what a statement to start the year. Like I said, you talk about a defining match. We're seeing what kind of top-tier tennis is also in the women's game after the dominant season that Iga Swiatek had. Talk about a match to start us off, right? An absolute shootout. And although the 2 matches ahead of this one, they are of players that already established themselves at the very, very top, playing multiple major finals before the match started. And the two above this have incredibly tight storylines. I would love to see another Rybakina-Sabalenka final now that they've established themselves the way they were. This was compelling for the fact that this was only Rybakina's second, this was Sabalenka's first. And this was the first really, really big match between the two players as well. I think it was the first time they had played since 2021. But that said, this match was incredible, especially the third set. You couldn't have asked for much more. Especially out of that third set, the way it took to finish it. It makes sense Sabalenka won the match. She played just phenomenal. And I've seen some people say they played nervy. I don't think they played nervy, even though it was their first final, especially in that third set. They were hitting absolutely massive. It did look like it was Sabalenka's final to lose from my perspective, especially after the second set. But either way, Sabalenka on her fourth championship point falls to the ground. She gets her first major. She becomes world number one this year as well. She played a phenomenal full season, reached the semifinal of every single major, and couldn't have asked for much more. Statement final at the start of the year to say, hey Iga, we're here too. And we're hitting absolutely massive. And the third set was absolutely one of the sets of the year. That is my third best match of the year, which means that the two above it are absolute classics. They have to be, right? They are, in my opinion. In my opinion, one is incredibly underrated. The other one, I think some people might have an idea of what it is. Some people might be wondering what number two is at this moment. This looked like Sabalenka was taking it, it looked all in the world like Sabalenka was taking this match. Jabeur just had a great revenge win against Rybakina. They had played the major final before. She came back from a set down. It looked like Ons was out of gas. Ons was up in the first set multiple times. So many chances throughout the first set. Endless break points. She was up 4-2 in the tiebreaker. Sabalenka played amazing tennis to come back. After that, it looked like Sabalenka was going to take it. And she was up 4-3 serving in the second set. Was Sabalenka. It looked like she was cruising to a straight set victory. Jabeur nearly looked out of it. She looked tired, in fact, if not from the Rybakina match. In the second set, it looked like she didn't start off as strong. At one point, I think Sabalenka was serving at 1-2, 30 all, but after that, there was a quick break from Jabeur, and Sabalenka was serving. It looked like she was going to get the victory. Jabeur, out of nowhere, starts playing some of the most phenomenal tennis. She looks as determined as I've ever seen any player on a tennis court. The clash of styles between Ons and Sabalenka was quite great. The drop shots, the slicing from Jabeur, and then the aggressive style of Sabalenka. But then from 4-3, 40-30, Jabeur then breaks back, and then Sabalenka again has a break point at 3-4, at 30-40 at 4-4. Ons looking down the barrel, because if she loses that point, Sabalenka's serving for the match. But it's Ons with a clean return winner, backhand winner down the line at set point to push us 3 sets. It sent everybody into a frenzy. It was flash versus aggression. It was the slices and drop shots. Like I said, Ons just looking so determined out there, more determined than I've ever seen her, just like against Rybakina. And just like against Rybakina, just playing absolutely unreal tennis, and the slice and dice, and Sabalenka falling into the Ons game. She hits a slice at 2-3 down break point in the third set. That doesn't really work out well. Ons slices it back, and then Sabalenka misses a backhand, and that gets her broken. And then at 5-2, Jabeur gets a match point to get into the Wimbledon final for the second year in a row. And Sabalenka saves it. Sabalenka saves it out of nowhere, and suddenly it's 5-3, Jabeur is serving, and it's looking like maybe there's a chance Sabalenka comes back. Jabeur finishes it off 5-3, 40-30 with a Sabalenka-like ace out wide, and it's an incredible way to finish. What a win for Jabeur. Obviously, Jabeur didn't get it done in the final, but just like the match of Sabalenka coming back versus Madison Keys at the US Open, I feel like this match in its own right was amazing for what it was, and I just feel like we gotta appreciate it. Because, listen, Ons Jabeur was up in the first set. Everybody was excited that Ons was winning that first set. It was 3-2, and Ons hits a running forehand, clean winner down the line, incredible shot, one of the best shots of the tournament. And it looked like Ons is going to take the first set for sure. And then Sabalenka comes storming right back. She goes up 6-4. in the tiebreaker, and then it looked like, okay, well now Jabor's down a set. She was looking tired to start off. It looked like all the way Sabalenka was getting to her first Wimbledon final. And then once again, Sabalenka's semifinal problems continued. But it was really high level from both. I mean, it was 28 winners, 14 unforced errors, four ons. It was really, really good stuff. Served pretty well as well. And it was just one of the most fun matches to watch. It was great to see Ons winning in the way she did. And some of the best consecutive victories for a player, I think, of the year, beating Rybakina and Sabalenka both from down a set back to back. And it was unfortunate she couldn't get done in the final because who knows how many more opportunities she'll get. She's way too good. The player is Ons, I think, at her best to never win a major with the talent level she brings and just utterly how good she is at her best. Her mentality, one of the best on the tour, and that really showed in this match. I think it deserves the spot at the top for how compelling, how dramatic, how epic of a match it was, and how amazing of a performance it was from Ons Jabeur. So determined, and we'll see how she performs at Wimbledon in the future, where I feel like the grass court tennis really suits her game. And then my number one for the women's side, I personally never had any doubt. It is my number one women's match of the 2023 tennis season. It is Swiatek taking on Sabalenka in the Madrid final. And look, this match was it was extraordinary. The peaks of this match were so high. To me, the highest peaks of the season on the women's side. I mean, listen, the 5-3 game in the third set, where it was deuce after deuce after deuce, some incredible returning from Swiatek, and that's what it boiled down to. Even the first two shots of every point were so compelling because it was Sabalenka's incredible serving against Iga's just absolutely phenomenal returning, and it was just that. It was aggression versus Swiatek's more grindy defensive clay court style, and it was Iga on clay courts in a clay final, in a big clay final. And you would think there's no way that Iga's losing it, even to Sabalenka, who's proven herself in so many of the other tournaments that might play a little bit faster. And it is Madrid, where the clay does play a little bit faster. It is a bit more high altitude. The ball jumps up right into the sweet spot for Sabalenka, and all of that is true. And we saw that a lot throughout the match. I mean, listen, Sabalenka won half of her return points in the third set, 11 for 22. Swiatek had 4 break points and converted 1. Sabalenka had 2 break points and converted 2 in that third set. And it was an incredible third set. It was an amazing level shown from Sabalenka, who, it was a relatively poor game from Iga at 0-1. She was broken for the 4th time, too many errors. But starting from that point on, the third set from both was just impeccable. Incredibly compelling game at 2-0, where Sabalenka was up, but Swiatek was looking to get the early break back. And I mean, listen, they played just an outrageous forehand cross-court rally. Sabalenka hit a winner at deuce to get to game point. And then Swiatek hits a winner forehand return of serve with the aggression from Iga. And I mean, listen, the consistency was arguably not really there for Iga as much as usual. And Sabalenka was taking advantage of it, but it was high level all around. It was a poor game from Sabalenka at 3-1 in the third set, where she gets broken at love to give the break back. But then at 4-3, Sabalenka gets the break back once again. There's amazing backhands from both players throughout the third set. The backhand to backhand rallies, there's so many of them, and they were so fun to watch. But it was a blazing forehand winner cross court that gave Sabalenka the break, following a backhand to backhand rally. The Sabalenka backhands became too much for the Iga backhand. That set up an absolutely blazing forehand winner cross court from Sabalenka, just catching the line. And then, like I said, a never-ending game at 5-3. And this was right after Sabalenka just lost to Swiatek in the final the week before. It was the first time that Swiatek had lost a final since, I believe, like 2017 or 2018, when Iga was just a teenager, to a player that's not Krejcikova. Krejcikova has beaten her twice in finals. Sabalenka became the first player not named Krejcikova to beat her in a final. So Swiatek has been an amazing amazing finals player. Sabalenka was able to step inside the baseline for 29% of her shots. Iga just 16% of her shots. Able to step in, just a few stats to show how Sabalenka played that match, just relenting aggression. And the thing about it, it's just such consistent aggression. It's so consistent. She doesn't play the way Swiatek plays, but her aggression is unrelenting, and she picks her spot with the forehand. The way she was mixing it up off the forehand in the match was amazing. But she picks her spot off the forehand, just goes that way. Absolutely fearless. She always was, hitting big second serves, just going for the forehand. And that's what we saw throughout the match. And even Sabalenka's net play came into play. There was an amazing point in that 2-0 game that I think is one of the best games of the year, where Sabalenka was serving up 2-0, where Iga has an open court for a forehand pass. I believe this was breakpoint for Iga. And Sabalenka makes a great athletic move. The court is wide open. She gets to it with a forehand volley, and then they hit a few more shots. Sabalenka gets a backhand volley winner, with Iga ending up on the floor with a full stretch slide, but she can't quite get to it to the backhand drop volley that Sabalenka gets to. So even the net play coming into play on some crucial moments, and just Sabalenka proving that she can do it on clay courts as well as hard courts against Swiatek. The best two players in the world, amazing level. Like I said, the peaks of the match were just so high. And even if you could say at times the level did dip, unlike perhaps the Australian Open final, I just think the peaks of this match and how compelling it was just brings it up a tad bit above a match like that one. And that puts it at number one, the Madrid final, and just such a good kind of moment to look at what this woman's tennis season was, which is Iga being tested, but still, at the end of the day, Iga still being the player of the year, most would say. Although I don't think Sabalenka, she definitely has some things going for her, such as the consistency at the majors, but still, whatever the opinion is, the Sabalenka-Swiatek matches were fantastic to watch. Like I said, a contrast of styles. And this win for Sabalenka was definitely her most impressive of the bunch for the year, to win in the Madrid final. So those were my kind of women's matches of the year top 10 list. Next week I'll have my top 10 men's matches as well. Yeah, those were kind of my matches of the year for the WTA side. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys like the new background, the new podcast, Anthony's Tennis Hub podcast. Hopefully you guys join in. Trying to drop this pretty much every Friday. I'll be coming back with more. So I'll see you guys at the next one for the next Anthony's Tennis Hub podcast.